Hello and welcome to our lesson for week 3. This is a Grace International School e-learning class. This is a hybrid learning. Hybrid learning in the sense that as you are watching this video, you should come this Wednesday for your assignment. So I hope you're going to take this video very serious because you need better understanding to be able to do the assignment for me. Good. So this week we are looking at strand 5 from our curriculum. That is talking about programming and databases. Then the sub-strand 1, which is introduction to databases, algorithm, and then programming languages. So we're talking about databases, algorithm, programming languages. But we are going to base on database for this week. We'll be looking at algorithm and the programming language in our future lessons. Alright, so we're going to demonstrate how to manipulate data in a database. I repeat, we are going to demonstrate how to manipulate data in a database. Good. So I hope and I trust that by the end of this video you should be able to query and manipulate data. I'm using the word query because we're going to command the database to give us specific data or information that we need from the data that we have stored in the database management system. So you should be able to write a simple query to retrieve specific names of students from a class database using the select statement. So I want you to keep this word select. Coming, let me show you. Where is my pen? So this is my pen. Good. I'm talking about this word select. I want you to keep this word in mind because we are going to use it a lot for this lesson. So we're going to learn how we can use the select statement to query data from a database. Good. Now, before we look at what the queries and all those things about, we need to understand tables. In our previous lesson before COVID-19, we looked at the various elements of a database, and if you could remember, we mentioned tables. I know you are trying to recall the rest. We mentioned forms, we mentioned queries, and then we even mentioned report. So the most important thing that we need to know now is tables, because without tables we cannot write any query. Why am I saying that? Because we are going to query the data from the tables. Remember, tables store the data that we have in a database. So the data are stored in the tables in our database. Now the tables are composed of 3 elements. The tables are composed of 3 elements, and then we have fields. Now if we talk about fields, we're talking about the table columns. So if you can see over here, we have this column to be an ID column, over here to be an ID column. So it is a field, so we call it the ID field. Don't forget, it is a field called the ID field. And then we have another field, the name. You can see the name field is also here. This is the name field. Then the class, the room, gender, age. So how many fields do we have in this table? We can count the fields we have in this table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this particular table contains 6 fields, namely the ID field, the name field, the class field, the room field, the gender field, and then you can continue for me, the age field. Then records. Now if you talk about records, you are talking about the table rows. So if I give you a table like this with data being entered into the table, we have understood the field to be the columns, then the records are going to be the rows. So this is record number 1, and it is taking the row 1, record number 1. This is record number 2, and you can see it, we can say row 2. This is record number 3. So what will be this record? Record number what? 8, and it is taking the 8th row in the table. So basically, records are the rows of the table. Now, one important thing is the values. So a value is a single piece of data. So if I circle this over here, it is a value because it is a single piece of data that can be found on the table, or can be found in the table, any way you put it. Good. So we have understood this basic terminology because we're going to use them. You have to understand this when you're writing a queries. Good. So let's move on. Now we come back to querying a database. So when you want to look for data in a database, it is very difficult. Imagine you have a database of about 5,000 records. That the rows are 5,000, and then there are a lot of values, lot of individual data being entered. Then you are asked to look for. Okay, let me make it simple. Assuming you come to the office to make payment of your school fees, then the school is using a database management system. As a computing student, you're asked to come and query data to display only your record in the database. You see, you have to be digging here and there before you can find your record. But if you know how to write queries, it is very simple. So we can use queries to pull the particular data we want out of the lot of data we have, or lot of values or records we have in the table of our database. So we are saying the database is effective when data can be retrieved as easily as it was entered. When data can be what? Retrieved. This is the key point. It means we use queries to retrieve data. So, and then the data should be retrieved in a very comfortable way. You don't have to struggle before you get the data you're looking for if you know how to write queries. Very good. Now, so why do we query database? I have already explained in the earlier slide a bit of reasons why we query database. But the first one here I want you to understand is that we query database to request information, like I explained earlier on. Then we can also query database to perform calculations. So at least don't forget about these two. There are more to that, but I want you to keep these two for time being. So one, we query database to request information. Then we query database to perform calculations. Very good. Now, what constitutes a query? This is very important. The query we are talking about, how does it look like? Is it a tall person, slim, fat, whatever? If you understand the constituents of a query or what form a query, then you will know how query will look like. So one, query requires field and table names. Fields and table names. That is why I was explaining. That's why I was explaining the field, and then I also mentioned the table name to be student table. So look at this table. This table is known as the student table. Very good. And in the student table, we've got all these entities. That is field, which is the columns, the records being the rows, then the values being the individual piece of data that we have in the table. So don't forget, we are dealing with the student table. So let's go back. Now, so we say we need a field and then the name of the table. Good. Then we also need to include conditions. Now let me explain this. You open a classroom. You have lot of students in there. Now let's assume the class to be the table. So class 6 table. So the class is the table. When you enter, we have rows and columns over there. Very good. And students are there. The students, some are boys, some are girls. So if I ask you, go to the class and pick a girl for me, you should ask me which class. Is that not it? Because I've not given you any class. The class is the table that was you're going to use to retrieve the information. So if I say go to class 6, boom, then you have it. You go straight to classes. Then you go, you look, and then you pick a girl for me. How will you know that this person is a girl or this person is a boy? With human beings, we use the physical features to identify or even their names. But on the table, we need to call that particular column that has the data of the girls. We will do that, you understand? I get it. So I can also say that go to the classroom, pick 5 girls who are less than 12 years. Who are less than 12 years. Here, a bit of math has come here. So you're going to use a condition. When you are going, I've given you a condition, not any girl that you see that you call. You look at the girls, check the age, and pick those that are less than 12 years. So that is the condition. So over here, we are going to use multiplication symbols like equals to, greater than, less than, like I said. So if you're looking for girls who are less than 12 years, it should be less than 12 in the table. So let's go back to the table. You can see that each student has got age. So let's look at this row. First row, Asare John is the name of the student. Class is classes. So you enter classes, you see Asare John over there. Now the room is A, correct? I asked you to go to 6A, so you are there. Now look at the gender. The gender is what? Male. Meaning I don't need Asare John because I'm looking for girls. So if you bring Asare John, you are wrong. You don't even have to even come and consider the A because the first condition, which is a girl, is not met. But if I see a female, Rita Enin, she is in B, so you cannot pick her. Then you can come back here to Zinabu Abiba. Very good. Basic 6A, female, 10 years. Good. So we have this one because she is less than 12 years. True or false? Yes, she is less than 12 years. So we can use that condition to pick or pull some data from the database. Good. So let's continue. So queries reduce the data retrieval time. We've talked about that already. Then we're looking at the condition. So now we understood what condition in database is all about. Good. So let's look at our activity for the day. Now, so we are to select basic 6A students from the students table. So over here, we are only going to select students who are in what? Basic 6A. So where are we going to put our condition? I want you to think. Go to basic 6. Then get me all the students in A. So where is the condition going to be? Now if you look at the statement that we are going to write, we're going to use the room A as our condition because we have other basic 6 students who are also in B. But the condition is that give me only those in what? A. So when you go, you say those that are equal to room A. So when we write the query command, this is the results or the output. So this is a table. Look at this table. It has picked only students in room A. And I'm going to demonstrate that, and you see how it works. It has picked students in room A only. And how do we do that? Now we're going to write an SQL command. SQL simply means structured query language. Structured query language. So the S for structured, the Q for query, then the L for language. So that's the full meaning of SQL. So this is the SQL command I'm going to write. So because we're using the select statement, so select Don't forget, that's why I said you should keep that term. When we're over here, I said we're going to use the select statement to query the data. So select, good. So let's go back. So you write select. What I'm trying to do, let me go back again. The question says select only basic 6A student from the students table. So this is the students table, and we have to select only basic 6A students. Why are we saying only basic 6? Because some of them are in basic 6B. So we need to select only the A student. So this is how it's going to look like. Select. Now we need to quote the name of the table after the select statement, the name of the table. So select, then which table? The name of the table is students. Mind you, the way the table is named is the same way you should write it. The way the table is named is the same way you should write it. As I've named the table students, if you make it student without the S, the query will not run. You will get an error, or you will not get results. Good. So make sure you always keep the name of the table. You quote it as it is. Now after quoting the name of the table, then we ask ourselves, what are the fields that we are going to what? To select. One, we're going to select the name of the student, then we add the room. The name of the student, then the room, like what we see here. So we are selecting the name of the student and then room. Good. So select students dot. The dot means it's a table. The system will see it as the name of the table. Then the next that is going to follow is the field. So students dot name. Where from this name? This is the name you're talking about. It is a field, a particular column in the database. So name. Good. So database, the system is going to look through all the records in that particular field. That is the name field, and to select all. So to select all the names you have in the table, that's the first statement that you have written. You are telling the system that go to basic 6, that is the name of the table, then select all the names of the students in the class. So to select all the names of the students in the class, then the next thing is that it should also select their rooms. So it's going to group them into room A and room B. Then where we are going to put our condition is very important. So after it has entered the class, that is, at enter the table, so you say to select students as the name of the table, the name, it has selected all the names. The next thing is going to select all the rooms. So let's assume that both A and B are in the same room called basic 6. Are you getting it? Very good. Both A and B are in the same room called basic 6. So it has selected all their names, the students. Then it has now selected their rooms. So you are A, you are B, you are A, you are B, you are A, you are B. Now we are going to do the magic. So you tell the database that I want where students dot room, that we are quoting a particular word, field in the table. So student is the name of the table, don't forget, and then the room is the field, this one. Now where students dot room equals A is very important. So now we are telling the database to push all the B's aside and then give us only the A students. I get it. So now this is the structure, or let me say this is the syntax. The syntax is how the thing is written, how it is written. You don't make mistake. So you bring your open bracket 1 2 3, then students dot room, you close it, then equals to A. Now let me explain the brackets, don't get confused. You see, the student dot room is supposed to be in a bracket. So this is it. I get it. Student dot room is supposed to be bracket. Now when you want to open a condition, you have to quote, you do double quoting of a bracket, this one and this one, but it has to be closed. So this bracket you see here is the one we open here, and then we have closed it here. Now these two, we open these two, and we are closing the two here. Don't forget, you first open two brackets where you close them. But the field you are going to quote, that one too must also be in a bracket, and these are the brackets you see here. So you look at how the structure is. You write the same, the way you can make it sentence case, but we always prefer you put in uppercase, where then you quote it. Then the A in programming, we say it is a string. It is a letter, a string. You're introducing a string in your line of, I'll not call this code, your line of command. Good. So it must be quoted. Then when you finish, you terminate or you end. In programming, we say terminate. End the line by using a semicolon. So it's very simple. Just follow the structure. You start with your select statement, then you quote the name of the table. So we are entering the table, students, then we bring a full stop, because we are going to continue to the next field, which is the name field. So student.name, comma. So if I want to select the name, the class, the room, the gender, the age, this is how it's going to be. Select students.name, comma, students.class, comma, student.room, comma, student.gender, comma, student.age. Meaning I have selected all the fields in the table. But here we say we're only selecting the name and the class. So the name and then the room, because we say basic 6A. So we need the name of the student, then the room. Good. So that is why we are quoting only student.name, student.room. We don't need the age, we don't need the class. Remember, I will assign you to do the other ones too. So you have to take note of all these structures that I'm giving you. When you omit a symbol, you will get it wrong, and then I will mark you wrong. So quote it as you see it here. Very good. So let's look at how it is done practically. So let me launch my database. Okay, this thing is still running. Good. So this is the statement that we have made, the SQL command we have made, and then this is the results. Let's preview the results. Good. So this is it. Now let's go back to SQL. So this is how we did it. Select students.name, student.room from students where students.room is equals A. So we did all these things from the students table. That's why I'm saying from student. Then where this student room equals A, then it is going to give us that. So assuming we want to select the B student, so look at the table, and then when we run the query, this is what we have. Are you getting it? So if we want to select only the students in B, then let's go to the SQL. The only thing you're going to do is to change the A to B. So I've changed the A to B. Now let's run it and see. So you see, now it's giving me only those in B. It has taken those in A out because of the statement we've written that where student.room equals B. So we only need the B student. Now we selected student name, the student room, right? Now let's add one more. Let's go back to the table. We have one field called age. So we're going to add the age. So how are you going to add the age? We only have to bring a comma here. Then we say students dot age. So let me correct this one. My keyboard is worrying me. Student.age. Now let's run it and see. Okay, so it means the age I have written, there's a problem with it. Let's go back to the table and see. All right, let me check my SQL command once again. Oh, see, the student I made M here, students. So you see, this little error you make, you run it or not run. You see, I just made a little mistake and it didn't run. So because I didn't quote the student, the table I quoted was wrong. So let me run it again. It can't find the table, so it won't give you any results. So now let's make it N. No mistake. N. Good. So now let's run it. Boom. Now it has added the age of the students to it because we have selected it in our statement. We have selected the age in our statement. SQL. We selected the age in our statement. So if you want to select the gender as well, I'm giving you 5 seconds. Okay, let me say 10 seconds. Try it and let me see. Try how you are going to add the gender and let me see if you get it right. Then we'll continue. Okay, so if you want to add the gender, look at how it is spelled. You're going to code the same way. So I'll go back to my query. Now I just need to bring a comma. Then I'll code the name of the table once again. Students. You see, I'm pressing the M again. Students dot gender. So now let's run it and see. So it has added the gender. So now it has picked the name, the room, the age, the gender. But the condition here, this is what I want you to be very careful. The condition is that we are selecting only those in B, room B. Let me clear that statement. Let me cut it. Now let's see it. It gives us everything. Now it has given us both A and B, but it has selected only the name, the room, the age, and the gender, and it has left out the class because we didn't select the class. I get it. Good. Now, so we can equally say where the class. Okay, they are all in classes, so we cannot do that. Okay, where the gender equals female. Let's try that one and see. Let's try that one and see. So I'm bringing the where statement. So student.gender gender equals female. So female. Good. Now let's see. Good. So it has taken out all the male students we have in our database, and that is giving us only basic 6 boys. Sorry, basic girls. Sorry, basic girls, both A and B, because we did not give a condition that I should pick only the girls or the boys. Now, sorry, we didn't give the condition to pick both only A or maybe only B. We said you should pick from basic 6, but we want only the boys. So the A and B, they were all mixed up. Good. So this is a very simple way of manipulating your data in a database. So you see, you can write any statement you want, but for now I want you to practice the select statement, where we're going to select a particular record from a table. Good. So I can ask you to select those who are age 10. 15 seconds. Write it down and let me see. Only that what do you call it, that conditional statement. Those who are age 10. Those who are age 10.
I didn't know you were here. So
those who are age 10. So only those who are age 10, we can write a query to do that. Alright, so let's look at how it is done. So we just have to, I'm sure by now you're guessing, we are only going to change this field from gender to what? Age. Then we're going to make it 10. Good. So let's run it. So it gives us only age 10. So if you're not age 10, we don't need you. Are you getting it? So this is how we run a database, or we query a database to pull data that we want from the database. We will end our lesson here, and then in the next video we're going to continue with the database and we'll do more queries. Then we look at other stuff. My little advice is, as you stay at home, you must observe all the COVID-19 protocols, the regular hand washing and the running water with soap, sanitizing your hand when needed, wear your nose mask anytime you are moving out of the house, and try to observe the social distancing. I hope to see you all when school resumes. Bye bye.